Hi everyone, welcome to Ask Us Anything, and thanks for all your questions this month. Let's get straight into it.
Sarah Ayres asks, can everyone sing? Yes. Okay, but in all seriousness, yes, everybody can sing. There are very, very few instances in which someone has an actual impairment which would stop them from singing. So you're talking maybe some laryngeal issues if you've had any kind of injury, maybe you've got recurring laryngitis, something like that. A lot of people say they're tone deaf. That's actually incredibly rare. Most people, when they struggle to pitch, when they start singing lessons, it's because they've never done it before. It's like saying, oh, well, I'll never be able to run a marathon. It's like, well, no, the first time you put the shoes on and go for a jog, it's going to hurt like hell and you're not going to know how to feel about it. But do it enough times and eventually you get there. It's the same thing when it comes to pitching and singing. Very, very rarely someone will have an ear issue or anything related to the whole ENT, ear, nose and throat, which means that their tone's a little bit impeded or maybe they struggle to make certain sounds. Some people have very raspy voices naturally. More often than not, there's a workaround around it. And don't forget, just because you can't sing like the finished product on a CD or your favorite pop star doesn't mean you can't sing. Everybody can sing. So often we get people coming in saying, look, I can't sing. I've been told I can't sing. And this is the issue. Someone will have told you at some point that you cannot sing. Unless that person is the foremost authority on voice in the world or that the world's greatest living musician at that time, and they've heard you try time and time again, well, tell them to sling that opinion. Because more often than not, the people who tell you that kind of thing know nothing about what they're talking about. They have no idea. Trust me, you can sing.
So, we've got a question from Spirit Nomad, and he asks, if you're going from a Gilmour Hendrix kind of tone through to kind of thrash and metal, basically if you're in a covers band on the band scene, on a budget, what would be your best kind of rig? So for a budget player, I'd say any kind of small amp, just make sure it's got a DI, like a direct output from the back of the amp, because you won't really want a lot of stage volume, but you will need to go into the desk. And ideally for Hendrix and Gilmour, you're going to need that wah-wah pedal. So a nice wah-wah pedal in there. For effects, I would recommend the Zoom Multi-Stomp, about 60 quid, but that'll allow you to put 4 effects on in one, and it'll give you chorus and reverb and delay, and they're about the 3 that you'd need, I would say, for that type of thing. Also, there's drive pedals within that pedal, so that'll give you all of your kind of thrash and metal tones, or you might want to go separately and get a distortion pedal as well. And I reckon that'd see you reet. A little bit extra, go up from there. Pedals exactly the same, but buy yourself a nice small valve amp. Maybe something like an IRT Studio, or maybe something by Behringer. They do a nice little amp combo rig thing. That's quite nice. And if money's no option, or if money's no issue, go for a Helix, Line 6 Helix, and that'll cover the whole gamut of stuff, and it'll allow you to sound awesome through the front of house of any gig. Hope that helps. Spirit Dragon.
CC the Kitty asks, how hard is it to make a career out of singing? Okay, super serious question. Realistically, a lot of it depends on what you put into it, how much you work at it. It's like any artistic job. There's a few different aspects to this question, and honestly, it could be a whole lecture series. It's not easy. You have to consider a lot of things. When you're a singer, your instrument is yourself, so it's not just about being really virtuosic on your instrument and knowing your music theory inside and out. You don't have to know all your music theory inside and out, by the way, but enough to get by, and you have to be serious about it. You've got to understand your body is your instrument, so everything you do with your body affects your career. That's a big commitment, and that will often involve changing what you eat, how you sleep, how you work out, what kind of lifestyle you lead. And it depends on person to person. There's no one way to go about making music a career, let alone singing. There's a few things to remember. Trends come and go. High squeaky voices might well be in when you're starting out, and then a few years down the line, fashion changes. And suddenly it's all about deep bassy voices and really operatic kind of tone. And then it can switch back just as easily. The business is changing. Most musicians, and I think I can speak for most of us here at Jam as well, have what's called a portfolio career. The days of someone seeing you on stage, signing you, and that's it, you're set for life, you're a multimillionaire, they're pretty much gone. With very, very few exceptions. There's only 3 major labels now. There used to be 5. They kind of took each other over. They don't sign many people, or they go with safe bets a lot of the time. So more often than not, a musician is making their career out of performing, teaching, all kinds of stuff. Me personally, I do voiceover work, I do coaching, I do MDing for small singing groups, I perform. I don't just perform in public, or very rarely I do original stuff. I do a lot of weddings. You're gonna find that depending on what the demand is at the time, your bread and butter is gonna be very different things. A very important thing, when I went into a music college, and I was 25 when I decided to retrain because I wasn't up to snuff, they asked us, how do you define success? And lots of people were like, oh, I'm going to be signed, it's going to be a 5-album deal, I'm only ever going to do my own original music, it's going to be amazing. And my answer was, if I can make my living just off music, that's my definition of success. I am 34 years old. This is the first year where that has been a reality. You will have to compromise. And that's not a glamorous, shiny, glittery answer. You're going to have to work hard. You're going to have to compromise at times. You're going to have to push back quite a lot. You're going to have to realize that, especially as a singer or a front person, there's a lot of extra things that you need to consider. Your look, your attitude, how photogenic you are, how amicable you are. And there's a lot about who you know as well. We're not talking about hobnobbing with the big names. I'm talking about knowing Bob down the local venue who suddenly needs a band and he knows you're it. I'm talking about being the person who shows up on time and is reliable and friendly to work with. There's an old adage as a musician that luck will get you in the door, talent will keep you in the gig at that day, but it's your attitude that's going to get you the call back. I've filled in for a lot of musicians who are gorgeous, glamorous, amazing, probably more talented than me, and completely unreliable. You have to consider the toll on your life as a person. This is a huge, huge question, and honestly, come talk to me about it. If you're serious about it, come book a chat, book an intro lesson, and just chat to me about the music industry. That's perfectly fine.
Thanks again for all your questions this month. If you've got any more questions, leave them in the comments. See you next time.